Welcome to the Nonfiction Writers, podcasting in a great way. I'm Ryan Aber, joined by Jason Kersey, and the sounds of construction at 100 West Main in downtown Oklahoma City. Hopefully it won't be too bad, but we're here to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners and specifically the offensive line as we continue our position-by-position look at the Oklahoma football team. Jason, we've talked about quarterbacks, we've talked about running backs, we've talked about wide receivers, but one of the biggest questions to me, and I know a lot of Sooner fans out there entering this season, is on the offensive line, where they lose 3/5 of what was a very good unit last year.
Yeah, and they also lose Deontay Savage, who started some games. They lose Tyler Evans, who started some games. Who
started a lot of games when you look at his overall career.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot to replace up there, and it's going to be interesting to see how well they do. This is really going to be a test for Bill Bedenbaugh. We're going to find out we saw what he was able to do with the talent that he already had when he inherited it, but now we're really going to see what he can do with the talent that he's recruited.
Let's start with the known commodities, and first up, right in the middle, center Ty Darlington has been really solid, even as he filled in for Gabe Ikert a couple years ago, and taking over the starter role. It's hard to look up and see him as a senior. I know that he was, really just played in one game a couple years ago that cost him another year of eligibility, and I know a lot of OU fans, and I know the team would have loved to have had him back for one more year, but it's gone by fast for Ty Darlington, but he's been a very good contributor for this team. Yeah,
he has. It's crazy to think how fast it's gone just for that class. I mean, that class has a lot of guys: Charles Tapper, Sterling Shepard, Trevor Knight, Zach Sanchez, Eric Stryker. We're all in that class, so it is crazy. But Ty Darlington's a guy who I think it's a shame that he lost that year. Just because he played a few plays, really, that his sophomore year, but yeah, he's obviously one of the big keys to the offense, and the fact that he's so smart made the transition, I think, from Ikert to Darlington pretty easy.
Yeah, and then the other returning piece of the offensive line is a guy who sort of moved in and out of the starting lineup last year, but I don't think there was ever any doubt that he was the number one guard, Nila Kasatati.
Yeah, he's definitely had a nice career so far, and was a big part of the offensive line last year, even when he wasn't starting. So yeah, you bring back him and Darlington. At least that gives you a pretty good base, and then from there, you have at least they have a junior college guy, Jamal Danley, that can step into that other guard spot. I think you got to feel decent about that, but beyond, it's the tackle spots I think are going to be the most interesting and maybe the key to the success that they're able to have.
Well, let's talk about the tackle spots where they lose Darrell Williams and Tyrus Thompson, who've just been fantastic over the last few years on the OU offensive line, both off to continue their careers in the NFL, but a lot of guys who we think of as pretty talented, but virtually no experience out of those tackles. I think a lot of us expect Josiah St. John to be one of the starters over there, but outside of that, there's a lot of inexperience with Orlando Brown, Kenyon Frison, and guys like that.
Yeah, Josiah St. John, I think, definitely will be one of the two starters, and the other one I would say is going to be Kenyon. Is it Frison or Friesen? I haven't quite figured out how to pronounce that yet. Can you pull up Toby Rowland's?
Friesen is how it's listed on the pronunciation guide.
Okay, because I was going to say some of them you got the little icon next to it where Toby will pronounce it for you.
Yeah.
Does he have that?
He does. Let's see.
Kenyon Friesen.
Oh, okay, there you go. Friesen. All right. Problem solved. Thanks, Toby.
we always appreciate Toby Rowland helping us out. But Kenyon Friesen, yeah, I think there's a good chance that he's the other starter. You know, I'm really interested to see what Orlando Brown turns into. I mean, he's certainly one of the most intriguing stories on this team in general.
Yeah.
And just a huge, I mean, you just look at the size of him. It's pretty phenomenal. He's listed at 6'8", 355, and just a massive guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Although I would say you can't base everything off size. We've seen that with Derek Farniok, and who I think is a nice backup. But I'd be surprised if he actually emerges this year as one of the starters. I think some people might expect that, but I just don't see that happening. Orlando Brown is very intriguing, just with his family history with his father. I wrote about that when he signed. I remember he was a surprise of the 2014 signing class. All those years are starting to run together for me. But the 2014 signing class, that was one of those that when OU tweeted out, letter of intent received from Orlando Brown, everybody's like, huh?
What?
So yeah.
Everybody thought he was going to Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that'll be interesting if he actually starts that game at Tennessee this year.
Yeah, and no doubt about that. Will be an intriguing story. My expectations are that Friesen and St. John will be the two tackles, though, at least going into the season.
Yeah, me too. I think that's probably the safe bet.
All right, Jason. I think we all agree we both agree who we think the starters are going to be on this unit next year. The question is how well they protect. Last year, this offensive line, I believe, led the nation in fewest sacks allowed in Division I. Obviously did a great job for the running backs with the numbers that Samaje Perine and just the running game in general put up. I don't think anybody expects him to equal that, but can this be an offensive line that at least isn't a liability for whichever quarterback is back there and whichever running backs are getting the ball?
I think so. The thing about it is, yeah, they do lose some really good players and they lose a lot of experience, but I believe that Bill Bedenbaugh is an excellent position coach. I think he's a great technique coach. I think he teaches toughness, and I think Bill Bedenbaugh's given OU fans no reason to doubt him and his ability to get a group ready to play. The offensive line was so good last year. I actually had a chance to talk to Darrell Williams right before the draft, and he said that one of the things that really bothers him the most about that last season is how good the offensive line was, and how much potential they had, and then to have that disappointing season. So. But I do think Bill Bedenbaugh is capable of getting these guys ready to play. So I don't think the offensive line is going to be a problem next year. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think I have trust in Bill Bedenbaugh. Think that he's going to find the guys that are going to be able to be effective. They're not going to put up the huge numbers that they did a year ago, but that's going to be hard to duplicate regardless. Given everything else that they've got, but they also aren't going to have to protect as long with the air raid.
Yeah, that's definitely is a good point as well.
So offensive line will certainly be an intriguing position to watch. That's all the time we have left for today. You can join us again next week when we move over to the defensive line to start on the defensive side of the ball as we continue to break down position by position OU's roster. Until then, you can check us out every day at newsok.com and every morning in the Oklahoman for the best OU coverage anywhere.